people is out here shooting skeet or out here behind us in the sporting play range, enjoying the freedom that we've got. I want to make just a couple of clarifications. I want to be careful, and I'm always careful when I talk to an event like this. I don't like painting people with a broad brush. And one thing I will say, the last time I shot back here at the sporting clay range was with a good friend of mine in the local news media here, who is also a federal firearms licensee, and thinks about the same thing about the Second Amendment as I do and you do. So to paint the media with a broad brush, many of them deserve, the comments have been made, many of them don't. So I won't be painting with a broad brush. When I was 20 years old, I took an oath at the Gray County Sheriff's Office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and of this state. I didn't take that oath lightly. I meant it. I've taken it 3 times since then, meant it every time. And I didn't choose to support and defend the First, the Fifth, the Seventh, or whatever amendment. I sworn an oath to defend every one of them. Another part I'd like to clarify is that these other sheriffs in Utah, and I would like to also report to you, I was in Austin on Monday and Tuesday this week. It happened to be Sheriff's Day at the Capitol. We have a legislative branch in the Sheriff's Association of Texas, 254 sheriffs in the state. And we had a meeting about which ones we're not going to support, that are going to, which bills we're going to support and what not going to support going to the legislature. And the Sheriff's Association of Texas is the oldest association in Texas. I think the first meeting was 1874, and it was over here in Corsicana where they had the first meeting. But I will tell you that the Sheriff's Association of Texas has issued a similar agenda that they will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And one part of that is, anybody that says they'll support the Second Amendment or any other part of the Constitution, the Second Amendment in its own writing says, I won't just support it, but it also says I'll defend it. So it goes without having to say every time that we'll defend it. We're going to defend the Constitution of the United States of America and of this state. Another thing I would like to do is that, we've been bashing, our president. I would like to give him a commendation for within the last 5 years, he is still, once again, the #1 firearm seller in the United States of America. The other thing I'd like to point out, I don't think I need to point out, I think I'm preaching to the choir here. Speaking of preaching, let me make one other point here. I'm not a politician. I consider myself a statesman, not a politician. Dr. David Dykes, who is my pastor at Green Acres Baptist Church here, said it best. He gave the definition of a politician, and you got to kind of separate the words. Poly meaning many, and a tick is a blood-sucking insect. So I prefer to be a statesman, not a politician. But anyway, we have an individual that I think all of us know that has a dual residence. One of the residences is in Washington, D.C., and one is in Chicago. Chicago and Washington, D.C. have the most stringent gun control laws anywhere on the book. Yet they have more homicides and more armed robberies and things of that nature than any other city in the United States of America. And that would be President Obama. So that should tell you right there that the problem is not the gun. The problem is the individual. Another thing I was glad to hear, a real big push is being made in the state legislature this year of trying to give more funds to where they really need to be, not in taking your guns away from you, but in really addressing the problems we have that's related to firearms, and that is addressing the mental health issues we have here. But on the converse side of that, we have one representative, or wanted to introduce a bill to use the law that they had introduced in California, and that's all I had to hear was coming from California. No, it wouldn't work. to use our county jail to do that with. I can tell you that a county jail is not a mental hospital, and nor should it be used as one. And the problem I see as sheriff, and I've only been sheriff less than 2 months here, but the problem I see is that we have so many in our jail here, and I was with the Bexar County Sheriff recently, and the Dallas County Sheriff. I didn't get to be with the Harris County. Harris County Sheriff's Jail, their jail, is the largest mental holding facility of anywhere else in the state. Dallas County being number 2, and Bexar County being number 3. What we're doing is we're just locking these individuals up and forgetting about them, but at some point we have to let them go if they haven't had any treatment. And that's the problem when we get a facility for them to go in, whether they be a forensic patient or a civil patient, as we consider them, forensic being a criminal patient. Once they're released, once we ever get them into Rush State Hospital or somewhere else, they're released back out in the media. I'm sorry. Without any aftercare. And I think we can go back to just about every mass shooting we've had recently. Mental health played a role in it, not the firearm. And I can tell you, many of them may think that when I was introduced earlier as having worked for ATF, it's kind of strange for me to be up here. They didn't take my thinking away from me when I signed on with them. But I will also report to you that I have many friends that are still with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Many of them think just like me, and I think you can take that as a sign of relief for you. I can assure you that many of the ones that I've worked with throughout the United States and 12 foreign countries I've worked with would probably not be working for ATF if it comes down to them that they have to take the
Let me call you back. I need to call you back.
ATF left to do that with, to be honest with you. But anyway, other things that I'll go ahead and say is the right to keep and bear arms is not just specifically for coming out here and enjoying yourself shooting sporting clays. It's not for hunting ducks, deer, birds, or whatever. It's for whatever you want to do with it. And that right that you got was not, it's an inalienable right. It wasn't, it's not a right that should be able to be taken away from you. And like saying, you could build a water tower here, many water towers here with the blood of the men and women that have died to give you that right. And I'll go ahead and say that we here in Smith County Sheriff's Office, and I assure you, every sheriff across the state of Texas, the other 253 of them, I would expect to stand right along beside me in defending your right to keep and bear arms should anyone ever try to take it away from you. Thank you.